I really caused myself to collapse. I was overwhelmed. My system no longer trusted me in choosing the environments, in choosing what stimuli to be around. And I had to pull myself completely out. And I had to use the principles I just gave you to rebuild my comfortability around sex. Welcome to the Grounded in Self podcast, where we become so rooted in who we are that we can dance with the strongest of winds, feel cleansed by the heaviest of rains, know that we are whole without our leaves, and stay grounded no matter where life takes us. This podcast is for anyone that's in their spiritual or self-growth era that just wants the whole thing to feel human again. That they can have a permission slip to not be perfect and understand that you are whole just as you are and allowed to desire growth. I am your host, Christina Horn. I am a somatic embodiment coach, a facilitator, and a business owner. But most importantly, I am a woman in the messy process of becoming, and I'm here to teach you the lessons I've learned thus far and continue to grow alongside you all. So if you are looking to become grounded in yourself, to live a life that feels yummy, and come back to the power that is inherently yours, you are in the right place. Come on in, baby. I'm so excited to have you as part of my family. Hello, Grounded in Self family. I'm so excited to have you back for part 2 of how to expand your capacity. If you caught last week's episode, I deep dove into a technique that I've heard on the internet, through friends, through lots of people, that is not how you want to expand your capacity. It is not only unhelpful, it can be harmful. It can lead you to the point of possibly traumatizing yourself. And you can go back to that episode to get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. But what you're basically doing is an accordion game of expand way beyond your barrier and get ricocheted back to collapse. And I don't want that for you. So on this episode, I'm going to explain a framework and the principles that you need to expand your capacity in a way that feels good for your mind, your body, your soul, that actually allows you to do so in a sustainable sense so that once your capacity is expanded, it is held. So that once you build up to this new level, you stay able to hit that point. And sometimes when you do have to come back in a little bit, you're still hitting a way higher ability to hold stimuli, hold your dreams, hold your mission than you ever were when you first started, and way more than you ever would be if you fell back into collapse. In last week's episode, I explained your ability and your capacity as a riverbed. So this is not just some dirt that holds the water that flows through it. This is a whole ecosystem. You have the dirt, you have the sediment, you have the shrubs, you have the roots, you have everything building it up. And then you got little things in it like fishies and plants. And in this episode, I really want you to think of yourself as this riverbed. Your basis of it all is your mind and your body. The elements that play into it are your ego, your environment, and your patterns. And similar to how we talked about a river, you can't just flood it with water because then it will overflow. Luckily, if it's a well-structured system, the trees, the shrubbery will hopefully absorb that water. But if you overflow even to the point where those things can't hold, it all collapses. So we want to be sure that you yourself aren't collapsing, that you aren't letting your ego determine how much you can hold. You aren't allowing your patterns to react and determine where you can expand, and you are able to thrive in your environment. So let's dive in. First, as with many things, to expand your capacity, you want to do so in a way that is building. We want to do so in a way that allows us to take steps, to move forward, to push the barrier slowly but surely over time, rather than just ripping it open. Because you need to do this in a way that your mind, your body, and your spirit can stay on board, in a way that can keep you present. And when you build slowly, there are 4 principles that can really allow you to stay in alignment, that allows you to hold this capacity and allows you to keep that ability to hold. The first principle we'll talk about is safety. Safety is not playing it safe. It's not playing small. It's not staying the same, but it is establishing open dialogue and communication so that as you expand and things start to feel a little shifted or rocky or new, your body and your mind know that they are safe. There are a couple ways to create safety. As I just said, opening dialogue. Sometimes for me, that literally looks like putting my hands on my body and talking to it, letting it know it is safe, that I am staying present with it, that I'm keeping it on board. Another huge way in creating safety is giving your mind and body a destination, expressing to it how far you want to expand, giving it a purpose in this expansion. Hey, I want to start showing up on social media every day for 30 days because I want to build my community. You hit all 3 points. Just giving that destination, because a river always has a destination to where it's flowing its water to. And this allows for your mind to stop asking so many questions. This allows for your body to have some ease in knowing where it's going. Another way to add to the safety is boundaries, setting limits so that when things do start to shift and maybe they don't feel good, your mind and body know we're not going to push that edge too far. We're not going to go beyond this point. And every time you do prove that to both your mind and body, they trust you more. So that when it is safe to push the boundary, it knows that you'll hold the limits that are agreed on. Your mind can get on board, your body can get on board, and you can expand in a way that builds a real foundation of safety, makes your root chakra feel all warm and fuzzy, and doesn't cause you to override your system. It doesn't cause you to get to the point that you're looking forward to being at and then have no foundation. We want everything on board. I kind of think of building safety as when you take a kid to the ocean for the first time. The ocean is scary, it's vast, it's large. And the best way to create safety for this little child that's getting to experience the water for the first time is open dialogue. Hey, look, this is what we're going to do. This is a fun thing. I'm right here with you. There's nothing to be afraid of, but I'm here if you are afraid. It's setting a destination. We're going to go into the water, but not too far. Setting the limit. Okay, we're not going to go beyond your waist. Nothing further. We're not going all the way into the depths of the ocean. We're just starting here. And then continuing with that communication as, the water touches their toes and they're all cold and they're like, "Yeah." You get to play. You get to be in enjoyment. You get to have fun and you get to be that rock for them. And that's what we're creating in safety with ourselves. We are creating that rock. We are creating that foundation so that as we continue to expand, we always have something to come back to. So for principle 2, and you'll notice that all these principles play into each other, they act off of each other, they are all intertwined. But for principle 2, we're talking about time and space. And for the most part, I mean this for your body. Your body needs time. It is more primitive than your mind. It can't just jump on board as quickly as your thoughts can. It really needs time to integrate. It really needs time to expand and understand what is happening. And so just giving it time, allowing it the ability to get on board. Space looks like giving breaths, and there's nuance here. You need to understand that if you give yourself way too much time, you'll never move, but also not to rush. A really good way to look at how much time is proper is to look at what's the motivator of it. Are you being motivated because there's a goal you want to reach and this intuitively feels like a good amount of time where you are pushing yourself but you're not overriding your needs? Or are you moving really quickly because you think you should already have this thing, or everyone else is going faster, or they already have it, or your ego just wants to prove something? We need to stay away from moving from patterns, moving from the ego, and instead establish time, establish steps, establish space so that your body can stay on board. The third principle is connection. like I said, you should have open communication, but you should have open dialogue. You need to be able to notice what's happening in your body. Do you see that every time you go to post, your shoulders are coming up to your ears? Does your heart start racing? And the next principle will kind of get us further into that, but really opening this connection, not only to tell your body what's going on, but to listen to what's going on in your body. Listen to what's going on in your mind. Really creating that connection with yourself so that you're not, in an essence, talking over it. You're not like, it's fine, we're good, don't worry about it. But like really being like, hey, I hear you. You got fears. I hear you. This is scary. I hear you. You're trying to protect yourself. And you can trust me because I've created that safety and I've given you that time. Which brings us into the fourth one. The fourth principle is curiosity. Curiosity to what causes my shoulders to come up to my ears. Curiosity to why are these fears coming up? Where do they come from? Is this coming from me now, or is this coming from me at 7 when I was bullied? Curiosity in what assumptions you make. I love to write down the assumptions I make before taking a bigger step, taking the step and then looking back and being like, well, did any of them come true? Because usually they don't. Curiosity can be as small as, oh, I'm curious why my breath has shallowed, to as deep as inner child and shadow work. And what's really big here is by having curiosity about your patterns, about how you're reacting, you shed light on them. And we don't have to deep dive every single one, but by shedding light, we can understand how they're causing our actions to change or at least start to notice them. But when we just straight ignore them or override them or act like they don't exist, we're going to keep reacting from them over and over again. And we're going to get to that point where maybe we have what we want, but we have no foundation. Our pattern is still coming up and causing us to react in ways we don't want. We're not able to hold ourselves. We're just gritting and acting like everything's okay. So being really curious to understand, to create that connection, to give your body that safety, to give your body that time and space, and looking at like where those things need a little more because of your past or because of some automatic belief you have. And the last thing I'll leave for you in building your capacity is not a principle, but a practice. In science, there's this concept of titration. Titration is the idea that when you are mixing two chemicals, you introduce the new chemical slowly. You do so because you do not want the whole concoction to explode. For you as a person, you want to introduce this stimuli slowly because you do not want to explode or collapse. And something I love to think of in titration is not only the expansion, but the contraction. So yes, you will expand and then you might contract just a little bit. And then you'll expand again, probably beyond where you expanded before. And then you'll probably contract. But when you contract, you are still beyond your last location of contraction. And you're really building this window of tolerance. You're really building this window of expansion, not so that you're always at your barrier, at your boundaries, but so that you're able to hold more, whether expanded or contracted. And you'll find very quickly that when you play with this level of depth, of this level of range of expansion and contraction, you build capacity so much more, even when you feel like you're holding less. Because your new contraction is further than your old expansion. It's just how the game goes. You don't go much further back. And more importantly, you don't go into collapse. And last week's episode, I expressed how I did the improper way of expansion. I went way too far. I really wanted to become comfortable with sex. And so I went to sex parties to really push my body into being comfortable around that kind of stimulation. And in exploring my comfortability with sexuality by going to sex parties, I really caused myself to collapse. I was overwhelmed. My system no longer trusted me in choosing the environments, in choosing what stimuli to be around. And I had to pull myself completely out. And I had to use the principles I just gave you to rebuild my comfortability around sex and also understand that I needed to expand my comfortability around sensuality. And I used these four things to do so. I found this beautiful practice called S Factor, which is somatic erotic movement, in a community where women witness each other move through their emotions and move through their sensual pleasure. And through finding this community, I not only was able to connect with myself, I was able to be witnessed in my expression, and I was able to connect with other women that were also looking to expand, that also had experiences that brought them to having to go slow, having to really regain this power and regain their ability to stay present in their body around sensual and possible sexual energy. I also found that I had to create my own safety, and I did that with extensive boundaries. When it comes for me now, I understand sex as a sovereign practice. It is, yes, physical, but more mental and more relational. I keep sex sacred. I don't go find random partners. I have to build an amount of safety and intimacy with someone emotionally before I can even get to that level. And I do this by communicating my boundaries early in relationships. I am now no stranger to telling someone that sex is off the table until I feel like I am able to stay in my body, that I can be around them and stay connected to myself, and until they have made me feel safe, both emotionally and physically. And the last piece that I didn't talk about in the principles, but was so important in my own journey, was being okay with backtracking, being okay with going back and reiterating or holding a line that maybe I didn't hold before. If I'm in relationship with someone and it goes a little too far, voicing that and being like, hey, I understand that in this moment I expanded beyond where I wanted to, and I want to come back to this point, being very clear. I want to come back to this. This is my new boundary. This needs to be respected by both of us before we can move forward. Because once you are able to show that you hold your boundaries, even if you go past them, can reiterate them, that's when your mind and your body can trust you, and in sex can trust the other person. And that's when you can expand your capacity to be in the experience and be present. So the last thing I will leave you guys with is, while it can be really easy, especially when the ego is involved, to be like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take so long. I don't want to have to worry about all these things. I'm just going to jump straight in. It is so impactful to slow things down, to build up your capacity in a way that allows you to have a foundation, to feel safe, to get your mind and body on board. Because once you do this in one area of your life, you start to excel at doing it, and you start moving so much faster in other areas of your life. If you expand your capacity to be in a social environment and now your mind and body trust you to push your barriers and grow, then when you want to expand your capacity in your business, you don't have to build all that trust again, maybe a little bit in that environment instead, but they already have that staple element of knowing that you will go at a speed that's safe for them. So it just starts moving, and then you start quantum leaping, and then you start being able to hold more, and then you start seeing that barrier pushed a lot faster than if you would have pushed it and collapsed. So know that it is worth the time to go slow. It is worth the time to build the foundation, because once the foundation is built, you can continue to scale and scale and scale, and you don't have to come back to that foundation and restructure it. You don't have to do anything with it. You can just know that it's solidified and solid, and that it will hold you no matter how much you expand. So I am so excited to see how you guys use these principles, how you start to really play with this expansion process, and what growth you get to experience because you give yourself the time, the space, the connection, and the curiosity. And if this episode impacted you in any way, please let me know. like us here on whatever platform you're listening. Give us a follow, give us a rating, give us a comment. Join the Grounded in Self family. We are so excited to have you. And tune in next week as we continue to make the spirituality world real again, make it human again, and learn and grow in all the messy and rawness. I love you lots. Bye.